All right, today we are going somewhere genuinely wild, and I mean that literally. We're asking one of the biggest, most fascinating what if questions in all of science. If humans disappeared tomorrow, just gone, overnight, which animals would actually take over the Earth? And I love this question because it's not just fun speculation. Scientists have actually studied this. There's real ecology, real biology behind the answer. And spoiler, it's probably not what most people picture. Right. Because most people immediately think, oh, lions, tigers, some big scary predator. But the actual answer is way more surprising and honestly kind of humbling. So let's dig in. Okay, so let's set the scene. Humans vanish. Every single one of us. Gone. What happens first? So the very first thing within hours is that our cities start dying. Power grids fail within days because nobody's maintaining them. Nuclear plants go into emergency shutdown. And without electricity, without heating and cooling systems running, a lot of the structures we built start losing the battle against nature almost immediately. So the infrastructure collapses fast. Faster than most people realize. And here's what's interesting. The animals that benefit first are actually the ones already living alongside us. Rats, pigeons, cockroaches, feral cats, and dogs. Oh, wow. So the city animals eat first. Exactly. There are billions of tons of stored food in warehouses, supermarkets, homes. For a while, it's an absolute feast for scavengers. The populations of rats alone would explode to numbers we've never seen. That is both fascinating and deeply unsettling. All right, so short term, it's the scavengers winning. But what happens over years, like decade one without humans? This is where it gets really interesting. Within 10 years, forests start reclaiming farmland. Studies actually show that within just 5 years, crops turn to scrubland. Within 15, full young forest begins to grow back. Nature moves that fast, faster than you'd think. And as the green comes back, deer populations would absolutely boom. Wild boar, rabbits, elk, all the animals we've been hunting and controlling their numbers would explode because suddenly there's no human pressure on them at all. So prey animals surge first, which means predators follow. Wolves, bears, mountain lions, they'd spread back into territories they haven't occupied in centuries. Yellowstone actually gave us a real-world preview of this. When wolves were reintroduced there in 1995, the entire ecosystem restructured itself within years. Wait, just wolves changed the whole thing? Rivers literally changed course. Because wolves kept deer moving, the deer stopped overgrazing riverbanks, the vegetation grew back, the soil stabilized. Scientists call it a trophic cascade. That is one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever heard. A trophic cascade. So one predator coming back reshapes rivers? One predator. Imagine what happens when every predator comes back everywhere on Earth simultaneously. Okay, so now I have to ask the big question. Centuries down the line, who actually dominates? Who builds the new world? So scientists and ecologists generally point to a few key candidates. And the first one might surprise you. Hit me, crows. And corvids in general, ravens, jays, magpies. Crows? Really? Think about it. Crows have demonstrated problem-solving abilities equivalent to a 7-year-old human child. They use tools. They recognize individual human faces. They hold grudges. They teach their offspring. They have culture, meaning learned behaviors passed down through generations. So they already have some of the building blocks of civilization. They're already partway there. And without humans dominating every ecological niche, crows would be free to expand, adapt, and potentially over thousands of years develop even more complex social structures. Okay, who else is in the running? Octopuses are a wild card that scientists find genuinely exciting. They are extraordinarily intelligent. They solve complex puzzles, they use tools, they camouflage, they communicate. And here's the thing, they've basically been kept in check by ocean pressures they didn't cause. Remove human fishing and pollution, the ocean becomes their playground. But they don't live long, right? Like octopuses only live a year or two. That's the catch. Their lifespan is a massive limiting factor right now. But evolution doesn't stop. Given millions of years and no human interference, we genuinely don't know what they'd become. That's honestly terrifying and incredible at the same time. And then there's the third candidate that almost nobody talks about: elephants. Elephants? Elephants already have complex social structures, deep emotional bonds. They mourn their dead. They pass down knowledge across generations. They use tools. They recognize themselves in mirrors, which is a test of self-awareness. Only a handful of species on Earth can pass. So they have the emotional and social intelligence. And they're already ecosystem engineers. Elephants literally reshape landscapes, knocking down trees, creating water holes, spreading seeds across vast distances. They don't just live in ecosystems, they build them. Okay, but let's talk about the animals nobody expects. Because I feel like there's a wild card here. Oh, absolutely. 2 words, rats and insects. Okay, yeah, I saw that coming for rats, but insects? Here's the thing about insects. They make up over 80% of all animal species on Earth. They have been here for 400 million years. They survived every mass extinction. They don't need us. They were here before us. They'll be here long after everything else is gone. So, insects are basically playing a different game entirely. They're playing the long game. Ants alone, there are 20 quadrillion ants on Earth right now. They already run some of the most sophisticated colony structures in nature. Farming, warfare, architecture. Slavery, yes. Some ant species literally enslave other ants. Wait ants farm and wage war? Leafcutter ants have been farming fungus for 50 million years. We've been farming for about 10,000. They have us beat by a factor of 5,000. I need a moment with that. 50 million years of agriculture. Wow. We've talked a lot about land, but what happens to the oceans without us? The oceans recover shockingly fast. Within 50 years without commercial fishing, fish populations would rebound to levels not seen since before the Industrial Revolution. Coral reefs, which we've bleached and destroyed at catastrophic rates, they begin healing within decades. So the ocean almost resets itself. And who benefits most? Whales, dolphins, giant squid, species we've kept in check through hunting, noise pollution, and plastic. The deep ocean is still largely unexplored.